Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ET Considers Everything podcast for Thursday, June 7th, 2016. There's a multitude of sports news that we need to get to this morning. Without further ado, let's get to those headlines. First of all, we will start with the NFL this morning. The top 10 players were named on the top 100 players countdown of 2016 on the NFL Network last night. The top 10 goes as follows. Number 1 was Cam Newton, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. Number 2 was Tom Brady, quarterback of the New England Patriots. Number 3 was J.J. Watt, defensive end for the Houston Texans. Number 4 was Antonio Brown, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 5 was Adrian Peterson, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. Number 6 was Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Number 7 was Luke Kuechly, linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. Number 8 was Julio Jones, wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons. Number 9 was Rob Gronkowski, tight end for the New England Patriots. And number 10 was Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver for the New York Giants. A great countdown, no doubt about it. Cam Newton and Tom Brady being 1 and 2. Really no surprise there. Those two were really the top quarterbacks all year in the NFL. Cam Newton won the MVP award last year, and he deserves that top spot this year, no doubt about it. There were 3 quarterbacks in the top 10. Those included Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady. NBA headlines to get to this morning. We had a big deal last night that went down, and it was Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade has decided to sign a 2-year, $47 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. Chicago is his hometown, so it's really no surprise that he decided to go to his hometown, but after 13 years with the Miami Heat, it's something that really Miami Heat fans didn't expect to happen. But it was a great move on his part. He got his money that he wanted, and he has a second-year player option, which means he can opt out after year 1 of the contract. So, with the signing of Rajon Rondo to the Chicago Bulls, they are a force now to be reckoned with in the East, along with the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Miami Heat as well. MLB headlines from last night. The Baltimore Orioles defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-4 in 14 innings last night in a 5-hour and 26-minute game, one of the longest in the MLB this season. There was a combined total of 36 strikeouts in that game, the largest total of any game at Dodger Stadium this season. So the Baltimore Orioles are continuing to roll on in the AL East and have a great shot to win that division this year, much like the Cleveland Indians do in the AL Central. And a lot of the teams are getting shaped up for the All-Star break, which will happen this upcoming weekend. So it should be a lot of fun to see how the teams shape up going into the All-Star break and after the All-Star break as well. Soccer news to report this morning. We had the first semifinal of the European Soccer Championships last night. Portugal defeated Wales 2-0 on goals by Cristiano Ronaldo and Nani. Cristiano Ronaldo scored on an excellent header in the 50th minute to give Portugal a 1-0 lead, and then Nani scored 4 minutes later to give Portugal a 2-0 lead, and Wales couldn't recover from that 2-0 deficit. Portugal will now face the winner of the Germany-France match, which will take place later on this afternoon at 2:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. Coverage of that match begins at 2:30, with the match beginning at 3 o'clock. Golf news to report this morning. As I've mentioned in several previous podcasts, the Greenbrier Classic from White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, has been canceled this week due to the extreme flooding in West Virginia. My hearts and prayers continue to go out to those folks. Hopefully they have received food and donations of clothes and have had help building supplies back up for that area, no doubt, because it's a rough situation there. A lot of the players that were scheduled to appear in the Greenbrier Classic have decided to go over to Scotland and play in the Aberdeen Scottish Open. Those players include Patrick Reed, Phil Mickelson, we have Henrik Stenson in the field, Rory McIlroy, and several other of the great players on the PGA Tour. So it's going to be interesting to see which player comes out on top this week at the Aberdeen Scottish Open. 1 week before the Open Championship takes place at Royal Troon Golf Club. Coverage of the Aberdeen Scottish Open will be on Golf Channel and NBC throughout the entirety of this weekend. So definitely pay attention to that. That'll give you a better sense of who the favorites will be going into the British Open Championship next week at Royal Troon Golf Club. Tennis news to report on this morning. We had the quarterfinals of the men's draw yesterday at Wimbledon. Roger Federer and Andy Murray both survived to the semifinals, and they have both won 5-set matches. Roger Federer was down 2-0, came back and won the final 3 sets over Marin Cilic. Andy Murray, on the opposite end, won the first 2 of his sets. Then James Wilfred Tsonga won the next 2 sets, and Andy Murray won the last set to win the match in a 5. So both Roger Federer and Andy Murray are through to the semifinals. The semifinals of the ladies' draw took place this morning at Wimbledon, and Serena Williams and Angelique Kerber have advanced to the final. This is a rematch of the 2016 Australian Open final, where Angelique Kerber upset Serena Williams in 3 sets to win her first major championship. So it's going to be very interesting and very fun to see how that match will go. Serena is looking to tie Steffi Graf with 22 career majors. She's just 3 behind the all-time mark set by Martina Navratilova. She has 24 career majors. NASCAR is at Kentucky this week. There's a triple header going on this weekend. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series will take place tonight. The NASCAR Xfinity Series will take place tomorrow. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup race will take place on Saturday night. So 3 great races to take place coming up this weekend at Kentucky. We also had NASCAR news that Darrell Wallace Jr. was fined $15,000 for conduct detrimental to NASCAR. He will pay that fine and move on. So that's very tough news for him and that team, but they'll look to rebound and try to get a victory this weekend at Kentucky. The favorites going into the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Kentucky are Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards. You have to put Kevin Harvick onto that list, Jimmy Johnson, and many others. Those are the 4 that I really am looking at this weekend going into the race. If I had to pick one definitive winner this weekend at Kentucky, I've got to go with Kyle Busch. He has a great track record there, no pun intended, but he has a great record at Kentucky Speedway. We'll see how the race goes this weekend, and we'll see how all those stars do in that race. And that's going to do it for all the headlines this morning on the ET Considers Everything podcast. If y'all don't mind, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I will keep you updated on all the news that I get throughout as much as I can. For now, this is ET Eric Tyler Mullins reporting from Pound, Virginia. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you very much for your support of this podcast.